The recent depreciation of the US dollar can be largely attributed to the economic uncertainty and policy inconsistency emerging from former President Donald Trump's latest public engagements and policy proposals. Although out of office, Trump continues to exert significant influence on Republican economic platforms, and his announcements regarding trade, taxation, and monetary policy have triggered volatility in financial markets. One major factor behind the dollar's decline is Trump's renewed protectionist rhetoric, particularly threats to reimpose broad tariffs on key trade partners such as China and the European Union. These declarations have raised fears of a trade war resurgence, which historically undermines global investor confidence in U.S. assets and weakens the dollar. Markets react to the prospect of disrupted supply chains and retaliatory measures, both of which diminish the appeal of the U.S. as a stable economic environment. Secondly, Trump's vague and shifting stance on fiscal discipline has further contributed to market anxiety. His recent suggestions to pursue expansive tax cuts, without detailing corresponding spending reductions, have raised concerns over the sustainability of U.S. debt. Investors fear this would lead to ballooning deficits, potentially fueling inflation and putting additional pressure on the Federal Reserve. A perception of fiscal irresponsibility can cause foreign holders of U.S. debt to divest, reducing demand for the dollar. Moreover, Trump's public criticism of the Federal Reserve's independence and interest rate strategy has added another layer of instability. By questioning the Fed's decisions and hinting at politically motivated monetary intervention, he introduces uncertainty into future economic policymaking. Lastly, geopolitical tensions stirred by Trump's confrontational tone on foreign affairs, including NATO funding threats and ambiguous positions on Ukraine and China, has undermined the dollar's status as a global safe haven. You see, currency markets tend to favor stability, and Trump's combative style historically correlates with risk aversion and capital flight from the United States. In summary, the dollar's recent decline is not the result of a single policy, but rather a pattern of economic unpredictability tied to Trump's shifting and often contradictory positions. Protectionism, fiscal uncertainty, institutional pressure, and geopolitical volatility together erode investor confidence, leading to a weaker dollar in the global marketplace. The biggest threat for the US dollar and the G7 is BRICS. This grouping of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa is becoming, increasingly significant in global economics and geopolitics, especially when we talk about its potential to challenge the dominance of traditional Western-led institutions, including the global financial system dominated by the US dollar. BRICS collectively accounts for over 40% of the world's population and about 25 to 30% of global GDP, and it's rising. China and India alone are, among the world's top 5 economies by purchasing power parity. This is not a minor issue, folks. The erosion of dollar hegemony is very real. The US dollar currently accounts for around 58 to 60% of global foreign exchange reserves. BRICS countries are reducing USD reserves, settling trades in yuan, rupees, and rubles, especially after the sanctions on Russia. China and Russia already trade in yuan and rubles. Brazil and China have agreed to trade in reais and yuans too. Trump's madness, rather than helping the U.S. economy, is setting the basis for BRICS to take advantage of the momentum and finish establishing all that is needed to consolidate their power. Don't miss our next video exploring the future of global currencies. If you want to stay ahead of these critical economic shifts, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel.